Sibuda ngiyabonga ukuthi sihlale phansi sikhulume. You know, it really means a lot to me. And myself, like so many other people on Twitter and social media, felt a lot of emotions when Prime launched in South Africa, and young kids, especially young white kids, went crazy. And initially we heard it was 400 to 650 online for a bottle of Prime hydration. And then it dropped down to 30, 40 rand at Checkers when Checkers revealed that they have a partnership with the Prime. And I thought it was dope because I understand business. I was like, everyone is comparing MOFAYA to Prime. That's dope. That's how it should be. They're not comparing any other brand but MOFAYA. It obviously speaks to MOFAYA. It speaks to you as a person. But I had a lot of questions. Everyone online had a lot of questions. I joined a WhatsApp group that my brother set up, Black Media Excellence, I think it's called. Over 900 people in media around South Africa. Black, white, etc., even though it's called black. And they were saying, yeah, but MOFAYA, their marketing wasn't like this and what. I was like, if you guys have initiatives, Panthe, Musbuda Fetu is that type of gent. But it led me to say, we need to have this conversation because it's bigger than Prime, it's bigger than MOFAYA, it's bigger than me and you, and it's a story about the economy, the business, our history as a country, and black people in particular. So I wanted us to sit and speak about it, and I've got a lot of questions and some information, and yeah, I just want to hear some of your thoughts. So ngiyabonga that we're sitting officially for this sit down.
Thank you, Nyabong. I'm Fetu. I'm excited to see you.
Always.
Always happy to see you.
Always. Thank you.
It's exciting also to be back on Twitter. But
congrats. Musk brought you back from the dead.
yeah.
Elon Musk is doing the Lord's work.
I underestimated our I don't like calling people followers or subscribers, but I just underestimated the support that we have out there.
Yeah.
You know, I did a video last week asking them, they must go to Twitter and tag Elon Musk.
Sure.
And tell them he's homeboy from Metembisa, just around Pitori where
Sure.
he grew up, wants his Twitter account back. I didn't think nothing of it. I was
Sure.
like, yo, Elon Musk won't even see any of this video, or there won't be anyone who's gonna test. Probably one or two people.
Sure.
And then I was shocked what happened. There was a newspaper, I think a couple of articles that were written. Eventually, just under a week, I got the account back.
That's dope.
It was very simple to get it back, as opposed to the past year that one has been trying to get it back. But when I got back to Twitter, I just saw on one post, somebody posted that video on Twitter, and I saw so many Elon Musk tags.
Yeah.
So I was just humbled. Wow.
That's dope.
We sometimes live in our bubble and we forget that there's really people out there who are supporting our work. So I was very humbled.
Sure.
So it just feels good to be back, but I'm still not on Twitter yet. Like, I'm not scrolling, whatever. I think I'm still...
It's changed, by the way.
I can see.
I'm just warning you in advance.
I can see
The space has changed. So move with caution is what I'll say.
Yeah.
Yeah, the mob has gotten stronger and louder, and the day people realize that on Twitter you can throw a punch at a celebrity and it can affect them, they got very excited, and now they throw as many punches as they can to try and get you to react. Not necessarily because they hate you, but it makes them happy that I made him react. They swear at you, but to get back, but and you're like, you shouldn't have to do that. How do you feel about MOFAYA today? How do you feel about Prime? Phuza my props. Phuza my props.
I feel great. I feel great, man. I feel great, man. I'm very proud of us. I'm very proud of us. I'm proud of Simpio Makubane, who's no longer a part of the team. But the memories are vivid in my mind. Back in 2014, when we're starting. We both parked our 2 Porsches. Black energy drink is here. We're very excited. We didn't know how hard of a journey it was going to be. I'm very proud of Usipiwe, Likuleni Shongwe, my brother. Those meetings are still vivid in my mind when we're conceptualizing it and we're having conversations around starting MOFAYA and what it meant. And I think how he was able to convince me was the necessity of a project like this one. I remember a meeting we had in Hyde Park. We sat with an amazing, powerful, intelligent lady. I forgot her name. That's almost a decade ago. She was going to be a strategist. She ended up not being part of the team. But over the years, she would be mentoring us from a distance. I'm proud of Chama, who did the graphics, social media stuff in the beginning. I'm proud of Jackie Pamudze. I'm proud of Zakele Mashile. I'm proud of Grotman Leto, our mentor, Butsepo, Bratsepo, Butsepo. You know, I'm proud of all of us, and little did we know what we were getting ourselves into. It's been a part of my life for the past decade. It's been a lot of pain. It's been tough.
Yes, I'm listening to you and you say you're excited, but it sounds sad, Njobu Balabantu. And now you're telling me about pain.
Penzo, it's, you're taking me to those thoughts, what one has had to go through, you know? Yeah, what one has had to go through. And such is the struggle of a black child in this continent. You know, imagine me, bro. When I started MOFAYA, I was at the peak of my music and entertainment career.
Yeah.
You know? The reason why I was giving you that picture of me and Osimpio Makubane in our Porsches holding MOFAYAs like this, and what I went on to do at my gigs, getting 100,000 people going, shouting, MOFAYA. Durban, Eastern Cape, grabbing microphones. It's time for the black... You know, I turned gigs into political rallies, but shouting and screaming MOFAYA. And what would follow then, and the approach that we took with this brand, and not having money at all, actually, not having any marketing budget, it turned into a journey of a lot of loss, a lot of pain, a lot of struggles, a lot of pillar to post, knocking, meetings being postponed, meetings being attended, and we're excited with things are happening. At some point, I remember us flying to Cape Town, going to meet a brother called Tony Hennick, whom we had researched online, and he was one of the guys who was attributed to have made Red Bull a success in South Africa. And in our minds, we thought, if we find Lingamlale, all our problems are solved. This is the guy who's going to make MOFAYA to become big. We flew to Cape Town. We found out that he had retired. He was running a building there. Him and his partner actually owned the Delicious Festival. And we had chats with him. Nothing materialized out of it. We told him our dream and our vision, and we thought the guys would help us. And many other instances and many other meetings and just a whole lot of other things that this episode will be 5 hours, you know, but those things will be xoxad one day. But it's been a very self-introspective journey. I didn't know that I was that strong. I didn't know that I was that capable. I didn't know Uguti also I would go through what I went through. personally with my life, you know. And I didn't know business at all, let alone the beverage business of the FMCG sector. I just did not know business at all. I know how to DJ. I can make people dance. I know how to hold an audience. I can speak to people. I know how to present TV shows, radio shows. But what I've had to learn over the past decade has been an amazing education. I don't even think it's the type of education you can get in any institution. And I remember when MOFAYA was starting, at the time I had enrolled for my MBA at Henley Business School. I moved on to enroll at Regenesis Business School in Sandton. And every time I would be in class, my classmates would say, "What are you doing here?" Not because maybe they thought I was rich, but I mean, yes, getting a Porsche, yes, getting Aston Martin, you know, more DJs, you know. But like what you're already doing out there is what we are here for. You are a living, walking MBA. That's what they kept on saying to me. Even our lecturers would say things like that. But I would lose everything. I would lose all those Aston Martins. I would lose that prestigious life that I thought I had. I would lose the bubble that I was living in to get into the real world and actually realize ukuthi business in South Africa is a jungle.
Yeah. You and Simpiwe co-founded MOFAYA.
Yeah, Sipiwe Lukhuleni.
Sipiwe.
So I mentioned a brother called
Simpiwe Makubane.
Simpiwe Makubane.
Okay.
Is from the KZN. He was one of the co-founders,
Okay.
although he's no longer part of the team. But I have to give him his credits.
Okay.
You know? And Simpiwe and Sipiwe, a lot of people confuse the two because bebaspana bonke, even Namnang Bamita, they were already working together under the leadership of Dr. Daphne Mashile Nkosi.
Okay.
The leader,
heavyweight.
The leader of Kalahadi Manganese. She's a heavyweight, an incredible mentor who has walked the entire journey with us up until today.
Yeah.
And she said it in the beginning, because when I thought, no, my lady has tested me just for a few years. You know, there's going to be a time where she's like, no, send training bafana bamge bamban. Easy. She told us straight, no, nizofunda nina.
Yeah.
Ukuthi business liqalwa kanjani from scratch.
Yeah.
Nizo understand ukuthi business yini. In a few years' time, nizo understand, and you're going to look at business people who started their businesses from scratch legitimately in South Africa differently. You guys are going to see them different because it's a jungle out here.
Yeah.
And I want you guys to do it on your own. If you think you're going to get help from me, of course, I'll give you the guidance. I'll give you the I don't even want to call it mentorship, but ngizonikeza ubumama bami ukuthi, you know. But other than that, that's it. You're on your own. And she told us from the beginning.
There were three of you.
Mina no Sipiwe. It was just, mostly it has been me and Sipiwe, and you know, they would say the principal shareholders.
Yeah.
And then all the other shareholders in Babizayo are shareholders. Yeah. But obviously it's people we invited into the team. And right now I also have to acknowledge Sipho Chiane, who's based in Cape Town. I think this is for the first time people will know that he's also one of the shareholders.
That's dope.
I think a lot of people also are probably finding out now for the first time Jackie Pamuze is also one of the shareholders.
She posted it on Twitter,
and one of the
I think a week or two ago.
Oh, did she?
Yeah.
Yeah, she's an amazing lady.
I met Sipho a couple of years ago when I was working with the Touch Rugby guys. I think he might have been at Clip Drift.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. It's a small world. This was before I officially met you, So I'm asking because of Usimpiwe and Uspiwe. It wasn't three of you, it was two of you.
Yeah, it was me and Sipiwe.
And then Usimpiwe joined and then left.
So me and Sipiwe came together.
Yeah.
He invited some people.
Okay.
So me and Sipiwe came equally on starting MOFAYA.
Okay.
But then we would need certain skills and certain people that he felt we needed.
Sure.
That he would go and invite, that he already knew, who would bring in certain skills, and he would be willing to dilute his shares to invite them over.
Okay.
Same applies to me.
Sure.
Mina into the picture, I invited Sipho Chiane.
Okay.
Yes.
Currently, are you able? I understand it's a private company. Most people don't know the difference. A private company does not have to disclose anything to the public. Your money, your debt, you don't have to. The only people you need to disclose to is SARS, because you have to pay tax. It's obviously your banks, the charges, and any legal people that might have whatever, like regulatory bodies. But I'm trying to figure out if you had liberty to say how big the team is now from you and Uspiwe in terms of shareholders, at least, not the working team. Just ukuthi manje ama shareholders sesibawo 10, 20. Because the follow-up question is, are you guys still open to get more shareholders? Especially the public, us, ordinary people.
It's always been our vision to invite the public on board.
Yeah.
You know, but we've always felt we want to walk the journey up until a certain point. You know, we've always had in our business plan, which will have a phase 1,
Yeah.
which would be radical, for lack of a better word, but we called it disruptive. We will be disruptive. We will be, call it that way, because pretty much you don't have resources. You don't have a
Sure.
lot of money.
Bootstrapping and gorilla.
Yeah, so you'll have to do a lot of things very, other people would call it unprofessional. Other people would mention that word a lot, gorilla,
Yeah.
you know, and just basically patanisa, as you're saying,
Yeah.
bootstrapping. That was our phase. That was in the business plan, and that was intentional. In our Hyde Park meeting, me and Sipio and Asxoxa, we did say we would call this a protest project.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, I'm not happy that we're speaking about the story of MOFAYA and there isn't a black can. I also just want to mention it to the camera. You have to get a black can, please, nah? So that it's in the middle, because I need to explain to people, you know, the logo has got a meaning.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was tough. And then second phase would be us corporatizing our business, us aiming for certain business awards, us hoping to claim our space in the FMCG sector and becoming one of the top 10 drinks in the country, and us having to invite other people that we think will assist us with the right skills to build this thing, people with experience. We've never started any beverage drink before. Spio is a genius miner. He builds mines. He's built over more than 2 mines in his career.
It's proper.
He's one of the brightest minds in this country. And Spio comes from Vet, comes from Cape Town, in MKHUKHU. Usphiwe used to nabamxoshe skela. Usphiwe used to achopele ngale ngasemuva ewindweni. Bamxoshile.
Yes.
Bayageleza abanye ngaphakathi eklasini ukhobe ngewindow kanje.
Taking notes.
Yeah, taking notes ulalele bayagele mabamxoshile. Beginning of this year, he took me to his old high school, and we adopted the high school privately. We didn't make noise about it, but I was very humbled to see where this bright mind comes from.
Yeah.
And they told me a story of Usphiwe nengiphra yakhe ewindweni bathathi was pipe abuSphiwe. Uyayibona leya scene yakuyizo yokuthi bathele I spoke about uPutifana Mkwena last week.
Yes.
Was pipe. I think abuSphiwe, that's what they did mareklasini bathela umem or teacher was pipe ngamanzi. And I think that's one of the things that they'll forever remember him for from that school. But it's interesting that a brother who comes from a squatter camp, who didn't even have resources to go study at Wits, but scored himself a bursary.
Sure.
And even when he was at Wits, he was not part of the cool guys because he didn't even have cool clothes. He didn't even have any money. He didn't even stay at res. He was one of those abaspanisa mateksi bayikasi bayabuya. It was tough,
Yeah.
you know, somebody who goes through education like that. And those of us who grew up ekasi would know ukuthi thina abaphuma elokishini emaforumini
Sure.
would sort of be better off than abantu abaphuma emikhukhwini.
Not even sort of, much better off.
Much
by
better
circumstance.
Than abantu abaphuma
Yeah.
emikhukhwini from the shacks, you know. And that's where this man comes from.
Yeah.
And Usphiwe comes from Soweto, which is the western part of Johannesburg. I come from Tembisa, Eguruleni, which is the eastern part of Johannesburg.
Yeah.
our experiences are similar, but yet different.
Sure.
And we would come together with the mindset of saying, we'll call this a protest project. We're going to protest with this project. Whatever it's going to take, we're going to move this forward because we feel it's time that we start amplifying the message of black ownership, black pride, black business, and us fully, properly participating in the value chains of all these different businesses. And the message we're going to shout and scream about is not only just our own, our selfish vision, but it's also just to say, guys, we are capable. Guys, it's time we start our own things. Our Grootmans, our timers have given us all of this information. They've given us all of this inspiration. It's time for us now to act. They've written books for us. They've given us the blueprint. Others who might have done it, but they've done it through apartheid, before apartheid. Others have become billionaires, through political affiliations or whatever way they've inspired us. But now it's our time to go build this thing from scratch and show people how it's done. At the time, social media was still new.
Sure.
Instagram was brand new. Twitter was hardly about maybe 3, 4, 5 years old. 2014, 2013, we started talking about MOFAYA, but our first can came out around late 2014. And we would then go on to protest. And maybe just before I give it back to you, just to explain the can. Penuel, this can, MOFAYA, we decided with the FAYA instead of the FIRE because we believe FAYA can be pronounced in any language, in any international or local African language. Spanish, isiTsonga, ngesiXhosa, ngesiZulu, kaSpedi, ngesiTswana, Portuguese, English, whatever language, it's still spelled or pronounced the same way, MOFAYA. And a lot of people would know Guti, Jamaica, this word has always been popular, MOFAYA. Nangayeka, sabom Jaman, ahoy Jaman, MOFAYA.
More fire.
More power. It's got a fire flame logo here, which is the burning desire that we had, Mina no Sipio, when we started this thing. We're inspired by a generation of 1956. Abu Mamabetu marched to the union buildings. They formed a march against the past laws. And a lot of South Africans who know that story and that history would also know the 1976 event. Both those two events inspired us putting this fire here because we believe we believed Mina no Sipio, we are them of that time. I think of 2014 when we were starting this thing. 2014 manje sifana nabo.
1956,
1956,
women marching for liberation to the union buildings. 1976, the youth marching against Afrikaans as a medium of instruction.
People who were willing to lay down their lives had to have some sort of a burning desire for them to be a khatful and be sick and tired of being sick and tired. We were sick and tired of being sick and tired, Mina no Sipio, as much as I had this superficial success that I thought I had. But I knew I didn't have real success. So we had a burning desire to change the game, for lack of a better word. So we were inspired by those guys and we felt it's fana nabo. But at the same time, let's honor them by putting in a coat of arms around this fire. And we went for the black can because we kind of felt the message all over the world has always been Africa is the dark continent, but they keep on reaping all of our minerals. And I also, for instance, the episode that you and I had with Bishop Joshua Mabonga, the first one, when I spoke about how wealthy Zimbabwe is, how wealthy I believe Zimbabwe is. This is way before our Gold Mafia art documentaries, which I still believe even in South Africa. I actually even mentioned that as I walked into the door, Namaj, a few minutes ago. I said, South Africa, but we've just been conditioned with, hey, to this black or dark, so-called dark continent, we kind of felt, that's why let's fagi golite kubabonisa ukuthi libhaya le around wena igolite libhaya balobele balincinza liyavala urkanti. We went with the black color for obvious reasons. We believe black is a color that signifies strength. It's a color of boldness. And the gold around it shows you the wealth that we have and the belief that we have in our youth as well. And if you look at the red all around the can, we sort of were inspired by the meaning of the color red, as you would see presidents wearing red ties, signifying power, signifying leadership. But when Sipiwe met me, I'd been running the Sibusiso Leope Education Foundation. I'd been speaking in schools, doing school programs, doing social responsibility initiatives, serving.
Yeah.
I've always been a servant of this country, servant of the youth of this country, as much as I was participating in the entertainment space. And we kind of felt good it represents that. We're going to serve, we're going to run this project unselfishly so, and we're going to make peace with us. We're going to make peace with ourselves that yes, we're starting a business, but no matter how long it takes us, this is not ours. This is for the whole country. This is for all black people around the world. I remember we made Forbes, not the Forbes fake cover that came in later. Forbes in America, Forbes.com. We made an article as one of African beverages that are making moves in the continent. And it was quite inspiring to feature on Forbes.com on an amazing article. And they featured other African brands from other African countries.
Yeah.
I think about 3 or 4. I think there was 5 brands, all of us, or 3, I'm not sure. That sort of inspired us as well. That sort of drove us. And as these memories keep coming, I'll keep sharing with you. Some things you might not have asked when I Penyo, but I'll just keep sharing.
No problem.
Because I feel Uguti, some information gets lost in the cracks, and a lot of things I have never really spoken about with MOFAYA.
Yeah.
But as we are going in deep, I kind of felt, okay, I'll keep on sharing whatever comes to my mind. That's what this can represents. And that's why the black can. To see this can now sitting with all these other different flavors.
The Rainbow Nation.
To be seeing these ones, the different flavors. This one is Cherry Boom, Ikusheshe, Ivrpa, Itrailemza, Tropicasi. It's beautiful, man, to have seen this baby grow. I can only imagine other people who are not in my position as Abu DJ Sbu, but just ordinary Ntswaki, ordinary Lorraine, ordinary Nomgcibelo, Nobuhle, Mavusana Bongani, from Mlazi, from Ekukule, to having a dream to start something. If I had to go through what I went through, Sipiwe had to go through what he's gone through with his contacts, knowing all the people that he knows with his intelligence. Mina, with my network of people that I've known. If it became this hard for me, I can only imagine what everybody else out there is going through. But I believe it's a generational fight. Yeah.
Are you at liberty to say how many people are now involved as shareholders from the initial 2 guys? Or is it...
We're still all in it. There's a few guys who are no longer a part of the team. Let me see. How can MKHUKHU put Vusi from Russia? I think he had just come back in the country from Russia. And I have not spoken to them or consulted them. I'm at liberty to mention their names here.
No, you don't have to mention names. On camera. Just the number, but I understand.
But sometimes maybe I can just mention their names without mentioning surnames. Because other people might not know which Vusi is he talking about. Guys who've just been laying low, just playing behind the scenes. And whenever we meet, it's guys who sort of play a strategic role. Yeah. So, we ganged up and we said, no, siyayenza lento.
Maybe 10 to 20 shareholders currently?
No. Under 10.
Under 10?
Yeah.
And you were speaking about phase 1, and I'm guessing as time goes on, the plan will be to list. And that's where we ordinary people will then, besides just owning a can, be able to also own a share and hopefully earn dividends from the company.
That was our plan.
Yeah.
That was our plan. Stage 3 would be to list and to go continental and international. And over the years, as somebody who has been traveling all over the world, I've seen Uguti, as much as our strategy was to go continental and then international, I've seen Uguti, the smarter way in how a lot of businesses do it is most eyeballs are onto America.
Yeah.
Now, in 2023, with everything I know now, what we would have done, I think then, would be from Zanzibar to the US.
Yeah.
And then US will obviously lighten up or make it easier to get into the rest of the other African countries.
That's bittersweet, right?
Because everybody's looking at America. It is bittersweet.
You have to get recognition emazweni.
Yeah.
Ladysmith Black Mambazo, Brahuma Segela, Miriam Makeba, Abo Blackhoff. You have to get recognition overseas for sometimes your own people to see you. That's bittersweet.
Yeah.
But it's a reality that you're realizing now.
Yeah. We have been exporting into some African countries. It's not easy.
Yeah.
And other African billionaires don't make it easy for you. And whenever you think, good, we should be one, we'll be forming partnerships. But other billionaires from the continent, they're not here to just open up for a drink from South Africa.
Sure.
And a lot of them are not even open to partnerships. We've tried what we would eventually do. Instead of us forming operations in other countries, we will have people buying to export.
Fair enough.
Because it's not only MOFAYA, maybe they're already exporting Coca-Cola products.
Sure.
And they'll just want to do deals with us and export. So we have been sort of planting seeds and selling here and there, but not big numbers.
Yeah.
Ghana, Zimbabwe, Lesotho, Swaziland, Botswana,
Yeah.
Namibia, Nigeria, Ethiopia. And when I mention countries, and
Yeah.
I'm not talking about large numbers, no.
Sure.
I'm just talking,
There are people that figure out stock. If anyone's ever been inside Spar retail stores, sometimes Baba certain imported sweets and drinks that you wouldn't normally get at retailers, something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But a country that I think we did well in was Tanzania.
Yeah.
Because we partnered up with a brother of mine by the name of Ali Kiba, who's an incredible musician,
Yeah.
one of the biggest in East Africa.
Yeah.
Love him very much, that brother. I've never worked with. He's one of the most realist people I've ever met.
Yeah.
An incredibly inspiring brother. We formed a brotherhood and we formed a partnership. And I guess now when he came on board, we both thought it would be easy because I'm big in South Africa, he's big in East Africa.
Yeah.
Coming together, but the operations behind the scenes sort of collapsed.
Sure.
They didn't take off as much as we thought they would. And that's where we are now. We still are knocking, we still are looking for opportunities, but we also decided to focus more on South Africa because our penetration in South Africa is still growing.
Sure.
We're still very small. You still get a lot of people who can't get our drink in South Africa. It's been extremely difficult, Manuel, extremely difficult. This has become the most difficult thing I've ever had to do in my life.
So in speaking about energy drinks, because we started going crazy over Red Bull back in the day, and then later on Monster would come. Maybe if we get a chance, we'll speak about some of the local brands. MOFAYA came along. I'm going to go to why we're here, but I want to start here because Red Bull was almost the beginning. Red Bull gives you wings. Red Bull is an Austrian company, for people that don't know. In 2020 alone, they made 6.3 billion euros in that year. And in 2022 alone, in the whole world, they sold close to 11.6 billion cans. They've got a 43% market share. 43% in the world. Austrian company, European company. Then the Americans came and they set up Monster, because Monster is an American company. And in 2020, they made 4.6 billion US dollars. They've got a 39% market share in the world. Just these two companies alone have 81% of market share. European, American. MOFAYA comes in as an African brand. Prime, when it comes in as a both American and British brand because it is based both in the United Kingdom and the United States of America. How do you feel from a nationality perspective? Because you're speaking now about if I'd known back then, I would have started in America and then come back. Do you feel there's a factor to this? It's almost the leaders of the package, the leaders of the pack being European. If you look at colonization, if you look at how America was built, it was the Spaniards from Europe. Our colonization today by the United Kingdom. And now you're seeing something similar happen in the beverage space, where it was Europe leading with Red Bull, of which, weirdly enough, the story doesn't even start in Europe. It starts somewhere else. And then America catches on, and now all of a sudden we have to play catch up. Before you answer, I don't know if I can read history Red Bull kancane, for people that may not know. In 1976, Chalio, I don't know if that's how you pronounce his name, Uvidia introduced a drink called Krating Daeng or Daeng in Thailand, which is in Asia, which means red gawa in English. It was popular amongst Thai truck drivers and laborers. While working for German manufacturer Blendex, later acquired by Procter & Gamble in 1982, Dietrich Mateschitz or Mate Schitz traveled to Thailand and met Chalio, owner of TC Pharmaceutical. During his visit, Mate Schitz discovered that the Krating Daeng helped cure his jet lag. In 1984, they co-founded Red Bull with Uvidia and turned it into an international brand. Each partner invested $500,000 of savings to fund the company. They each held a 49% share of the company. They gave the remaining 2% to Uvidia's son. But it was agreed that Mateschitz would run the company. The product was first launched in Austria in April 1987. April 1987. I'm thinking of what you're saying about 2014. I'm thinking about when you speak about partnerships with Uspiwe, that this was the partnership. But now I'm looking at a German European guy going to Thailand to get what was a juice or what was unique there, making it European for it to become, because no one knows this other brand. We don't know it. It became European, it became big, it inspired other people. And here we are today with an African brand. Do we need a European? Do we need an American to come here and own a stake in MOFAYA and take your 49%? And maybe end up giving your daughter a stake? Is this going to always be the story of playing catch up, and the African child always needs a UK, USA, Europe to shine? How does that make you feel from a nationality perspective and the history, considering that you're passionate about this being a protest black product?
When I answer your question, the first thing I'd like to, and I need to mention them by name, that's why I'm pulling out my phone.
Sure.
I'm pulling out my phone to mention these two brothers, Rodney Sachs and Hilton Schlossberg. Hilton Schlossberg, President and CEO. Rodney Sachs, Chairman and CEO. They came to America and bought a company that was founded in 1935. The company was called Hanson's in California, in the West Coast in America. Hanson's would be turned into Monster Energy drink. One of these two incredible business people studied here at Wits. These are both South Africans.
Crazy.
Monster was started by South Africans, but they bought an already existing American company because these two South Africans decided to move to America. Just like Elon Musk did.
Yeah.
Decided to move to America. Trevor Noah decided to move to America, exactly what you're saying. And hustled in America, like Elon Musk hustled in America, and they would purchase or buy shares into Hanson's, and they would turn Hanson's into Monster Energy drink.
Yeah.
Monster Energy drink, over the years, while we were also on our journey of building MOFAYA, made headlines by having done a big deal with Coca-Cola. I think 16.7%, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me on that one, they sold that stake to Coca-Cola. I'm not sure if it was $1 billion or a little bit more than that at the time. I don't know how many years ago it is now. But the fact that it was two South Africans, and every time, I wouldn't even tweet about it, but every time I would go to America, I would try and look for these guys. I would try send countless emails to, in America it's easier to find people's personal details. It's easier to even find people's cell phone, email addresses.
Okay.
Countless emails same way me and Nancy Pierre would be excited, pump each other up, and go to Cape Town to try and find Tony Hennick and think good he'd be our solution. Same thing, me. You'd see me flying to America. Sometimes I'd be gigging, but quietly I'd also be hustling to try and find these guys or trying to get a meeting with these guys. But I never have had a meeting. I have tried to go into, Monster headquarters in California. But the fact that Monster was built all the way to a certain level where Coca-Cola recognized an opportunity to come on board and buy a stake. And when Coca-Cola buys a stake, Coca-Cola's reach is big globally in terms of their distribution platforms. They bought a drink and vitamin water by 50 cents.
Yeah.
And they made it a global brand. Yes, we don't see much of it in South Africa anymore. But Coca-Cola is a big deal. And we were inspired by that story.
Yeah.
Uguti, these guys are actually South Africans. If Coca-Cola can recognize them and what they've done with their brand, it means we also stand a chance, not necessarily to be recognized by Coca-Cola, but we are South Africans. There's something incredible about us.
Yeah.
But yes, it does hurt, Uguti. The black child still has to go through a more difficult journey or a more challenging journey than it is for other people. But those are the type of stories that have had to inspire us. But I've never stopped frequenting going to the US because as sad as it is, but that's just how it is. I sat down with Nota and Mensa.
Mensa Main.
Mensa Main, yes. Yeah. Shout outs to Mensa Main, young African-American brother who is now based in South Africa. He's a YouTuber. And he's just built a career himself out of being a YouTuber, creating content. And he just fell in love with Amapiano. He fell in love with South Africa. We sat down on an episode on the Hustler's Corner, myself, him, and Nota. There was a question that Mensa Main asked Nota, and he said, why, Nota, do you have to be recognized by the US first? Why do you want your musicians? Because Nota was talking about him and Questa and their journey. Wanting to go blow him up in America. And Nota answered that question. I can't paraphrase him, guys. You can go check, maybe, I don't know, Peñol, you can go check out that episode. But he said something along the lines of, that's just how it is. That's just how it's sad, but that's just how it is. Ugut, you'll have to go to America to get recognition, because when you go to America, the whole world is watching America. You blow up in America, it's then easier for you to do anything all over the world. And it's the same even in the beverage space. And now they were talking about music. It's the same in the beverage space. And I guess it's probably the same even in fashion. I don't know. I'm not in fashion. But judging from my observing the fashion industry, it seems like it's pretty much everything. I guess because of their huge media marketing machine that is Hollywood and their music industry. I've seen a lot of brands that I've gotten to know as I was growing up they were introduced to me through watching my favorite hip-hop musicians on their music videos. And I've seen a lot of brands doing product placements on Hollywood movies. So you get to understand the power that they have in that country, and what they've done well is to use that machine to market their country and to give us a certain perspective about who they are. And I guess that's why you'll find a lot of young people at some point, they want to go to America. I was one of them. Always wanted to go to America. Always wanted to go live in America. But now here it is. We started an African business that we're thinking we're going to grow continentally and then eventually internationally. But right now, after all this experience that I've had, sadly, one gets to find out, Baba, this is how it is.
America is the Johannesburg of the world. What I mean by that, in your opinion, everyone in South Africa who is talented at some point says, you have to go to Joburg. Is it a situation like that? You can't be that big in East London, Gqeberha, maybe even in Cape Town, and Newcastle. You can't be that. You have to go to Jozi, because Jozi has built a marketing machine to say, we are the platform. We have the TVs, the TV stations, the radio stations, all the big artists, all the money people are here. Is that what this boils down to?
I'm not saying you have to go to America.
Sure.
But it seems like that's how the machine is designed.
Yeah.
And that's just how it is. No matter how much you can try and hustle in Africa, open doors, create relationships, and do whatever you got to do.
Yeah.
When it comes to you having international aspirations, it's not even Europe, it's America.
Yeah.
So it's just how it is, man. And I could be wrong, but I think I'm leaning towards the answer that Nota gave to Mansa Main. I'm leaning towards a yes. Sad, but yes.
Prime is a range of sports drinks, drink mixes, and energy drinks created and marketed by Prime Hydration LLC. The range is promoted by YouTubers Logan Paul and KSI. The announcement and the release of the product in 2022, that was last year, was followed by a social media hype associated with these social media personalities who have tens of millions of followers combined. It was also promoted through mainstream sports sponsorship deals. So Prime was founded last year, and as according to Logan Paul, who's one of the I think the owners along with KSI and the main guys who own the brand, was founded last year and has made $250 million US. Logan Paul is from the United States. KSI is from the United Kingdom. Although I believe he might be of Nigerian origin. He's a black guy, is basically what I'm trying to say. Considering you guys started in 2014 and next year you mark a decade, when you hear a story like the story of Prime, like Umafikizolo, and look at how much they've made and how easy it was for them to penetrate South Africa, and how especially white children were going crazy and the products was getting sold out. Honestly speaking, when you speak about the pain and the suffering, how does that make you feel? Honestly speaking, how did you feel when you saw that happening?
As a marketer, I knew obviously Uguti marketing dollars run this game in anything. He who gets the most attention wins the war in advertising. And I understand with marketing US dollars in terms of budgets, that becomes easy to enter any market in Africa because of our currencies. What we are able to do with our rand can only do so much.
It's a flyer versus a billboard.
Yeah. Their dollars go a long way, because when you're saying they've made $250 million US, for them it's probably not a lot of money. But if you take that into here at home, that's almost 5 billion South African rands that they've made already.
We're almost at 20 rand to the dollar, almost.
Yeah, we're almost at 20 rands to the dollar. So the marketing dollars, I'd like to say that they play a role.
Yeah.
If I had marketing dollars, I would have all of my celebrity friends screaming and shouting and wearing and making sure they post MOFAYA as often as possible, because I pay them to.
Yeah.
But I can't afford them. And I don't want to say, Uguti, or let me put it this way. When I first heard them come out, I knew Uguti, the marketing dollars go a long way, but also the way in how things are marketed now in 2023 is different. Things have evolved. The internet has power more than anything right now.
Yeah.
And when you and I talk about Mr. Beast, we understand what he emerged from YouTube.
Yeah.
Once I started realizing the power of YouTube, I was like, why didn't I? Yes, I got into YouTube early, but I was one of those people, my YouTube was just there. Even TS Records days, I've always said
it was a hobby. It was just a side.
It was just there. If I knew what I know now, I would have went hard on YouTube then.
Yeah.
I would probably be a Logan Paul or a Mr. Beast on YouTube right now. Because a lot of it, as much as it's marketing dollars, those guys have got very big YouTube following.
Yeah.
And right now, YouTube has become a necessary platform for everyone. That's why I'm running a YouTube campaign to say, guys, get on YouTube. It can change your life. It's an incredible platform. Once you build your YouTube, you can even go international, even without leaving South Africa. Because as we are speaking this conversation right now, on the comment section, there's going to be a lot of people from the US, from Nigeria, from Ghana, from Australia, from the UK. We are international as we speak.
Yeah.
as our platforms keep growing, whether we like it or not, it's inevitable. We will be international.
Yeah.
Vusi Thembekwayo is international.
Yeah.
He saw this a few years ago. At some point, he disappeared from Twitter.
Sure.
And I was like, why is Vusi no longer tweeting? And then my answer right now is like, oh, he saw YouTube. And then he started focusing on YouTube.
Sure.
Now, which is something I only started doing just 2 years ago. Actually, harder, I started doing just hardly a year ago. And you and I have been going hard at it now for the past, say, 12 months.
100%.
And we can see what these guys have seen. Mabo Logan Paul have been at it. Abo Andrew Tate have been at it.
Yeah.
We're starting to know Andrew Tate now. No, Andrew Tate has been at it.
Yeah.
Apart from his kickboxing career, it's those people who were early on YouTube. They saw it a long time ago, you know? And when you've got that much of support or subscriber base or how big you are on YouTube as a KSI or as a Logan Paul, it does make a difference. But now when you are backed up by marketing dollars also where you are able to buy other so-called celebrities or influencers, for lack of a better word or whatever you want to call it, it's going to amplify whatever you're trying to market in any part of the world.
Yeah.
And as much as YouTube's algorithms, when you are in the US, same thing. They're more powerful than when you are in South Africa. And you and I both know that even when you are in the US YouTubers get paid more. There's something called a CPM, where when you're in the US, they pay you more than when you're here in Africa. So all those little things count, right? And it's not like they were on SABC. It's not like they were on Sunday Times. It's not like they were on Sowetan or they were at Bree or they were doing activations in Pretoria or Cape Town. No, these people are just YouTubers. They use their YouTube power, social media, and they use their marketing dollars to pump that money into as many influencers as possible. And then the machine came. And when it came, it did what it did. For a marketer like me, I was impressed with their marketing strategy. I did a video and I congratulated them. I'm like, wow, that's beautiful. I'm just looking forward to see how they're going to keep up the marketing campaign and how this evolves. But the fact that we are where we are right now, when you walk out of this building, everybody's like this, is walking like this. This baby right here is the new, not even SABC one. I don't know what to call it. This is power, my brother. So I understand the level at where those guys are. Was there any but in part of jealousy in me? No. For me, I kind of felt I'm fighting a different fight. And these are some of the things I'm used to. Rockstar. Beautiful energy drink, gold and black, I think. Just launched in South Africa. I think it was last year or the year before. It also came, marketing dollars, it was on billboards, it was on everywhere. I remember I was attending a meeting in Cape Town. I was at the engine offices downstairs. It's not easy to get into that engine building. And we were humbled to eventually get an opportunity to list MOFAYA at Engine. Engine was the first filling station that we had a meeting with back in 2014. And the guy, I think now he's retired. He no longer holds that role as I think he was a buyer, or he lists energy drink, the beverage category at Engine. But he had a lady he was training at the time. That lady now has risen up the ranks where she's now the buyer, and we have to appreciate her on the role she's played in eventually getting us to eventually give us a chance to participate at Engine. But Nakona, that meeting wasn't easy. And, some of the things we were negotiating and this opportunity that we were given, a lot of the times, not only Engine, every other listing that you get, you're always told, we'll give you this opportunity in this area. You prove yourself first. And then as soon as you prove yourself, we see your numbers, then we can start maybe opening up here and there for you. And as we're having that conversation, I don't know if she would remember Usisi, one of my partners that I was with when we were there in that meeting. I remember but Rockstar just came like last month, and Rockstar is everywhere. It's like, we still have to be tested first, even after so many years. So that's the struggle of the black child. So when you see about Prime come, sometimes it's no longer that jealousy that you have to feel, but you are numb to it, so much so that you know the battle that you are fighting. You are like a politician who's not a politician. You are fighting a different fight. You are fighting against a humongous animal here. And that's the story of a black child. It's like, oh, there's another one.
So Prime Hydration is under a company called Congo Brands, which is owned by Trey Steiger and Max Clemens. The company's website says it was developed to create synergies between the independent brands they've co-founded over the years. The one thing I know is that the brands under Congo all have independent companies, and these are the two main guys, but each brand has its own shareholdings, etc. And in listening to you and some of the conversations we've had about MOFAYA and FMCG and beverage, and I'll say in South Africa, when you look at the Jewish community, when you look at the Muslim community, a lot of them come from generations of business and trade. And they have earned their keep through years of generation and trade. So when we speak about, let's say, YouTube marketing, their families over 5-10 generations have been branding themselves in spaces and positioning themselves. I'm raising this because initially when the Prime versus MoFire conversation came out on social media, part of the arguments were racism, nationalism, maybe it's because you're South African and you're not American or British. Then it became business technicality. Look, there are people that own distribution and retail spaces. And if you're not friends with them, if you're not family members, if you're not part of, let's say, the Muslim, Jewish, could be Chinese, maybe you're part of an Afrikaans community, maybe you're politically connected. So you're a Mandela or a Hani or someone who is known, which, hey, we know your grandfather. So we'll listen to, like, you don't have the luxury of an established brand within the retail wholesale distribution space. I thought that was the fight. But a lot of people are looking at you as a big brand, big name in music, entertainment, TV. And they obviously assumed it was going to be easy. And you've told us, hey, Guyanyiwa. And it became no, there's actually a business system behind. And these are the things we're fighting. Congo Brands, of course, comes with that, it seems. They come with the experience and the knowledge. They've listed many other brands. So Prime is not their first time. It's not their MoFire. They're not doing this for the first time. But now it's almost like they got a cheat where they went back to how you started and saying, I'm the brand and I will push it. And they said, we've created a brand, but we found the marketers, the ambassadors, Logan Paul, KSI, who can actually override. Because you might find that Congo Brands might struggle to bring in other brands into this country. I'm raising this because I want to ask, do you think Prime got to jump the queue because Congo Brands has been doing this for a while and they've got other brands, so they're technically efficient, they've got the reputation, etc.? Or do you think they jumped the queue because they managed to get superstars? So it's almost like a fancy bribe. There's marketing dollars versus rands, and then we've got Mr. Beast. And even the guys at Checkers, like, we don't know who that is. But if everyone's speaking about it, they're like, at the end of the day, we retail. We're not going to test. We're not going to we're not going to make them jump through all the hoops. But because these guys are such huge stars, we will let them jump because we know it's automatically going to sell. Do you think that's what happened to Prime? Do you think it was the Congo experience? Or do you think they jumped the queue because of the big stars?
It's both. For some reason in South Africa, I guess because of where we come from, there's just that mindset that anything that comes from America. But then, yes, there's just this huge business systems and processes behind the scenes, relationships that have existed for years. And especially when you mention a company like Congo, they've probably have got existing relationships for many years with other people that they know who are probably CEOs of all these retailers, etc. There are all those relationships that are existing behind the scenes.
Yeah.
And I'm not talking about the marketing side. That has got a big role to play as well. And this is not only a Congo conversation. Even other brands, there's a lot of other brands who've overtaken MoFire.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say easier. They probably have got their own challenges as well. But because they're coming in with existing long-term relationships behind the scenes, things do get happen quicker for them. But then you've got a nation where a mindset of anything that comes from America. And you can't fight that. That's just how it is.
Yeah.
You know? I got a call last week from a team that is bringing Dr. Umar Johnson into the country. They said to me, we would like to invite you to be part of the panel, to come and be one of the people to speak alongside him. I was excited. I was like, I'll do it. And We sent them a quotation, and then they said no. We were thinking that we will leverage the fact that we don't have a budget to pay you by giving you an interview with him. We'll give you an interview with him as form of payment. We don't have the budget to pay you. In my mind, I was like, Joe, I experienced this in the music industry. Abo AKA, my brother, may soul rest in peace. We've been going through this. Nabo Casper, all the way back to since MKHUKHU, Abo Mama Brenda Fassi, may their souls rest in peace, where when American superstars come, you can't even be backstage. Or you are Casper Nyovas will actually allow you to be with Kanye West or Jay-Z, VIP or backstage. Will allow you to have a conversation with him. We can't pay you this much, we'll probably pay you that much. I guess
We'll pay you in exposure.
In exposure. I guess those are one of the things that inspired Casper to be like, nonsense, I'm going to start my own shows. I'm going to fill up my own shows. And that's the mindset we had when we went to fill up Orlando Stadium, when we went to go support him, fill up FNB Stadium and all the stadiums that he filled up. He conscientized us. And we were like, we have to show up for our boy. And he changed the game. That was a game changer. For me, who's 44 years old, who's done so much, who's got so many accolades in the music industry, who's had a successful music career, I even moved on and I evolved into the person that I am. To be told, and I love him, by the way, I'm a big fan of Dr. Umar. And I'm looking forward to being a part of the audience, not on the panel. I'll pay a ticket, I'll buy a ticket, I'll be part of the audience. But ukuthi mina ngizoringa la bangihafi akuna budget. Bazongibhatala ngokuthi kumele ngihlale naye ngim-interview kanje. It's an insult to a black skin. But I understood. I sort of got a little bit angry in the kancane, but I was like, wow. I want to find out who's bringing him into the country. And then I found out with okay, maybe let me not go deeper because I think they're doing a great job. And just for them to work hard to invite Dr. Umar Johnson, it's an incredible job. I don't even want, this messing up their amazing efforts. I don't want this interview messing up their amazing efforts. Maybe let me not go deeper. But coming back to the conversation, it triggered that.
I hear you.
I experienced this thing in the music industry. Right now, after all of this hard work for so many years, I'm still being told the same thing. I'm not a come up right now. I'm DJ Sbu. I'm bigger than Umar Johnson in South Africa. That was my mindset, But I was like, Sbu, this is bigger than you. He's got an amazing message to share with Umzansi. And I've also been looking forward to have him come into the country. But it's the same thing when Logan Paul, KSI, you would like to assume Mzansi, kids and everybody, you are more relevant than these guys Mzansi. And then Prime launches. And these are the guys that are pushing the brand. And everybody goes crazy. It's like, it's like, wow. We've got a long way to go. We've got a lot of work to do as black people. So for me, I'll go back to the answer. It's both.
I want to ask this follow-up question. Given 10 years to build MOFAYA into a global brand, given 20 years to build MOFAYA into a global brand, for yourself, not for the team, because the team has different roles. If you had to choose one, would you choose to understand the mechanics of business and struggle and try and build relationships and be laughed at and have doors slammed in your face and sell on the street and get people to understand what you're trying to do and travel? Would you rather do that for 20 years? Or would you rather spend your 20 years trying to become a global internet sensation? Understanding that with both, you're trying to take MOFAYA to become a global brand for DJ Sbu, not for the team. The team has to do distribution and everything. Would you rather invest those 20 years in trying to become KSI and Logan Paul? Or would you rather invest 20 years in learning how to build a business to a point where you maybe even disappear from social media?
2016, 2017, maybe 2018. I was in the UK with a South African brother who's been based in the UK for almost 20 years now, DJ MKHUKHU. DJ MKHUKHU were in Selfridges and we were shopping.
Selfridges is a retail store.
Yeah,
Okay.
with many stores. It's like sort of a mall. He was shopping, so I was just with him. And at some point, we were having lunch. And then he said to me, "You're doing an incredible job, Lakers. MOFAYA. But why did you stop music, bro?" And then he said to me, why did you stop music? Because if you didn't stop music, you would be able to hold a can like this. And I remember his words exactly. He said, you'd just be able to hold a can like this and say MOFAYA, and things would happen if you had focused on becoming a global star with your music career, as opposed to you stopping music to go and want to learn business. He said the same thing that you're asking right now. And my answer to you is, knowing what I know now, I probably would have had to go and become a global international star. I shouldn't have left my first love, music. I shouldn't have stopped making music. I should have gone on making music, pursuing my dreams, while the team is busy doing the work, instead of me wanting to learn the business. But I was forced to as well, where you're forced to spend most of your time here. But the biggest mistake I think I did was to stop music and put a pause in my music career. So yeah, I think the goal to have been call it an internet star, or a Logan Paul, a Black Coffee, a KSI, a Mr. Beast. It's only now that I'm starting that. And it's been, just as I was saying, a year.
Yeah.
That's why I made a video last week and I said, Penuel for me is going to be the biggest thing ever. It's because I can see now, I understand this internet machine and a beautiful website like what they've done with YouTube. It gives you that opportunity to be that. And you don't even have to even leave this country.
Yeah.
You can focus on the internet while you're here at home. That's why I'm sharing that message. Guys, YouTube ilahlile. Those who got in earlier should have told us. But then they can come back to me and say, "But you were on YouTube before us. So you've been on YouTube.
Yeah.
We're watching remember when it read back then. We were watching them on YouTube. Your videos, you guys were posting them. You came into YouTube before us." But the concept of being a YouTuber and taking internet seriously and what this thing can do for you in your career. And actually, this is a business. I would have focused on becoming an international internet star. Instead, probably things would have been, as DJ MKHUKHU was saying, easier. By just lifting up this can and saying, "I've got 10 million subscribers on YouTube. I just lift this can. Kids in the UK are watching me. Kids in Nigeria are watching me. Kids in California are watching me. This is the can to go by." I could have, or I should have, focused on that journey. But then again, I don't have any regrets. I really do think I needed to understand my business from scratch. I needed to know the systems and processes. I needed to work with CPU and understand the struggle of a black child when it comes to building a business from scratch. I don't regret any moment of any of those days. But I guess now I understand why KSI and Logan Paul would make so much noise in a prime. Understanding what I understand now with the YouTube analytics behind the scenes.
You spoke about the journey of self-introspection. Olajide, Olayinka Williams, JJ Olatunji, known professionally as KSI, is an English YouTuber, rapper, and boxer. He's a co-founder and member of the British YouTube group known as Sidemen. He is the CEO of Misfits Boxing and the co-owner of Prime Hydration, XIX vodka, and a restaurant chain known as Sides. Logan Alexander Paul is an American social media personality actor and professional wrestler. He is currently signed to WWE, where he performs on a part-time basis. He has over 23 million subscribers on his YouTube channel and is ranked on the Forbes list for the highest paid YouTube creators in 2017, 18, and 2021. He runs an impulsive podcast since 2018 with over 4 million subscribers. I think when it comes to KSI, or Olajide Olatunji, I think his combined YouTube following is over 43 million subscribers.
Yes.
I'm raising this and I'm glad we're speaking about it because at some point, the argument for people that are going to be like, why is MOFAYA not as big as Prime is, let's just talk about YouTube. Never mind all the other work you've done. Assuming that YouTube is the modern billboard of 2023, if DJ Sbu has 200, 500, a million subscribers on YouTube, he's competing with guys that have a combined 60, 70 million. It becomes a numbers game. And it's as simple as that. We can speak maybe race, nationality. KSI is a black boy, even though he's British. Maybe fundamentally, at the end of the day, for people that understand business, it's like, guys, the reason Burna Boy can sell out in London, in America, it's not because he's white. It's not because he's American or British or Chinese. It's because he has a huge following. And the people in those spaces will open all the doors for him because he is that big. And if DJ Sbu had 20 million subscribers, MOFAYA would be bigger than Prime. And it just becomes a numbers game more than anything else. Do you believe that's true, or do you still think there might be something else?
That is true to a certain extent, but you must also not disregard what we had spoken about earlier, the relationships, the distribution deals that get to be done behind the scenes, etc. But this does help quite a lot. There's a guy called Kobus Potgieter and a guy called Casper Lee. He has been YouTubing since he was a teenager. He's one of the biggest, if not the biggest South African YouTuber. Obviously, the biggest would be Trevor Noah, but Casper Lee has been big on YouTube for many years. And he's since started a business. He owns multiple apartments in Cape Town, over 100 or 200 apartments in Cape Town. Businessman in his 20s.
Casper used to be the biggest YouTuber for the longest time in South Africa.
Yeah, since his teenage years, over a decade ago. But what enabled him pretty much is YouTube. Kobus Potgieter, it's the same thing. You've got a Zimbabwean brother by the name of Ja Praiser, who's an artist, who's big on YouTube. He's got big numbers. Fills up stadiums, got over 10 endorsement deals. YouTube does play a very big role. But even if you don't have the historical relationships, the distribution deals that get to be done behind the scenes, yes, for the black child it's difficult, but if you come with those numbers, you're coming with 10 million YouTube subscribers, you're coming with 20 million YouTube subscribers, you are already international, things will be easier for you to open those doors and crack those deals. So I do say, to a certain extent, to a large extent actually, because of how the world has just evolved, especially since COVID-19, the market is on YouTube. People are on their phones. Everything has just exploded. You've just seen South Africa. Everybody is now getting into the podcast game because we've just seen the game has just changed. And they've been saying the world is no longer going to be like before the COVID-19 lockdowns. Things are going to change. Human behavioral patterns have changed. People are, for some reason, even if people still leave their houses to go to work, those 2 years when we were locked down have made people to now rather be at home. That even when I leave home, I just can't wait to come back at home so I can go and be on the internet. And even when I've left home, I'm consistently on the internet. Even when I'm at a gig or at a whatever event I'm in, or whether it's meetings, whether I'm having lunch, or I'm waiting for Penuel to show up for a 1 o'clock meeting, I'm on my phone. And not on my phone reading emails. I'm on my phone. I'm on YouTube.
Yeah.
South Africa right now in 2023 leads the whole world by being, I want to be factual, South Africans stay the longest on the internet than any other country in the world right now. And I want to be factual. South Africans stay the longest on the internet. I don't know how to Google it, but I'll put it this way. Let me see. Yeah. An article from 94.7.co.za. South Africans spend the most time on the internet in the world. And obviously it's different articles. Or let me go into this one, businesstech.co.za. South Africans are the biggest internet addicts in the world. There are 5 billion internet users in 2023, right?
In the world.
In the world. Let me not
5 out of 8 billion human beings. That's crazy.
Let me not read the rest of the article. I'm glad that I've just mentioned it. People will go Google it themselves. But they say here, South Africans spend a lot of time online. According to a report, South Africans spend the longest time online compared to any other country in the world. Connected for an average of 9 hours, 38 minutes daily.
Crazy.
On any device.
This is in a country struggling with load shedding and with low internet penetration compared to first world countries.
And expensive internet, nogal. Internet.
One of the things keeping you from becoming Logan Paul KSI is a government and a private sector that is not prioritizing free, cheap internet that goes across 60 million South Africans.
When Elon Musk wants to strike deals with African governments to bring us free internet through Starlink. Is it Starlink or
Starlink.
Is it Starlink, right? It's not as easy as, we thought it would be. Yeah. I was excited. For intwana ukuthi at least sizothola chance yokuthi zibe online zishintshe impilo zazo.
Sure.
I was excited over intwana that are in the villages. KwaMhlaba uyalingana. Kuruman. Muletje Rapao. And Northern Cape. Have you been to Northern Cape?
Mm.
Have you seen what poverty is doing to our young people there?
Go Springbok. Those areas, what they are. All the way to Mosina and those places.
Elon Musk comes and says, let's do a deal. And I don't know much about what has happened between Elon Musk and any other African government. But in my head, I'm excited that Elon Musk is going to make it easier for all these African countries to get cheaper and faster internet. It's gonna be a game changer forever. And I'm looking forward to it happening. It'll probably still happen. But maybe because, I don't know, whatever they're still doing, maybe they're negotiating, I don't know. But I do know that will be a game changer, Penuel. I'm not aspiring to be any person.
Sorry, you forgot to mention the part that our government in South Africa said you must give 30% equity to what we'd call black people, but we've seen what BEE does. So it's to politically connected people. And that was part of the issue with that deal of it not happening.
Go a little bit deeper.
I want to go deeper by saying this. Capitalism is a very wild animal. When you speak about the jungle, that business is the jungle, you're dealing with capitalists, which are the most fierce predators. And the reality is you've got a government run largely by the ANC, where a lot of the key people that are in the ANC now or used to be in the ANC have struck a lot of black economic empowerment deals with a lot of big business players in the country. And once you, we'll call it being captured, once you've been captured by money and shares and directorships, part of what you need to do is you need to fight to retain your position and to retain your wealth. Now, if your shares happen to be in Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, etc., and someone says, no, I will come and give them free, you can come up with all the legislation you want. The reality is, I will not lose my wealth. I will not let you bring free bread to the people when I know I have a stake in Albany, Blue Ribbon, Tiger Brands, Pioneer Foods. It becomes a money thing. So you and I as the consumers at the end, on the other side, we're sad and it doesn't make sense. And the DA, as the opposition will say, the government is greedy. It's a money thing. The DA themselves in their crying, if they had shares, if their biggest funders was Vodacom, MTN, Cell C, Telkom, they would come up with all kinds of regulations for ICASA and those kind of people. That's what we're dealing with. We're dealing with people that put their personal ambitions and self-enrichment before what could be. they are so short-sighted. They don't know if they were to ignite the kids that the kids would make them so much tax money they wouldn't know what to do with it. Dubai would become a child. They'd be like, we've got so much tax. Our taxpayers are saying, pay yourselves more bonuses. You have given us the fastest, best internet. We've got the best highways and roads, and our country is conducive. But they're short-sighted, and they'd rather focus on the money they have now. And that's the issue we have with Starlink. And anyone else who wants to come into this country and help us with infrastructure. It could be the Chinese, could be the Russians, could be the Americans. Understanding as well that they themselves have their own ambitions. How long will Starlink be free for? WhatsApp be free for? We're dealing with wild animals. They know once they come in here and they completely destroy Vodacom, Telkom, MTN, Cell C, Neotel, Liquid. They know that once they've monopolized the market, they can charge us whatever. We'll have no choice. Like with Eskom, we'll have no choice but to pay them for their internet. So those are the issues we're dealing with. My apologies.
No, I understand. And I don't have any aspirations to be any one of those people. I already am. But I'm my own unique person in my own right. But I admire the brothers, and I admire the fact that they saw an opportunity early to use a platform like YouTube to get to where they are. But then you're also dealing with another conversation, Penyo, where as much as now we've seen what can happen on this platform, this is not our platform.
YouTube is American.
It's American. It's an American company. It's an American company. It's not an African company. It's not African owned. But I also have to give props to KSI, because I think I'll be very selfish to not recognize an African brother who's doing incredible work internationally. I'm very inspired by that. That's what made me smile. But at least there's a part of an African. Whatever deal they've done with Congo, whatever shareholdership they have in the brand, but it's actually really incredible to see that you can be a YouTuber in 2023 and have that much influence and impact globally.
Yeah.
And we've seen what's been happening with people like Andrew Tate, for instance. We've seen now the power of internet continue to rise and rise and rise. And Mina, for now, my advice to young people, as much as others out there are creating amazing inventions, like the Zimbabwean brother who created a water energy solution. And I don't know, another solution apparently that is powered by air or something like that. We've got all these bright African minds, bro. In the meantime, while that is still happening behind the scenes, can our young people come onto these platforms and take advantage of them and grow themselves and liberate themselves financially using these platforms, especially this particular specific one that we are on? Because you can monetize it can change your life, but simultaneously be building something else on the side, whether it's your own website where you are archiving all of this content that you're giving to this American company because they're monetizing everything they're paying you, but also still grow your own website. And those with the brains and aspirations of wanting to, or maybe they're currently building other things on the side, inventions, future YouTubes, and things that are going to be bigger and better than YouTube's, let them continue creating those. Although even them, when they come out in the spotlight or they try and patent their ideas, we all know what happens to a lot of them. Some of them get killed. Some of them miraculously get poisoned. Some of them fall off from buildings. Some of them just start miraculously getting sick in hospitals and they just die. And a couple of years later, you'll hear the similar invention coming out through some American company or coming through Usman Bani. My message for young people is this is the platform to liberate you right now, in the meantime, while you are building your own. So yeah, I think being a KSI is going to make a big difference in your career, whether you're DJ Sbu or you're Bongani. If you're focusing your time on working here and creating content in your niche and what you love, that can change your life like crazy, as opposed to having to still have that old school mindset of ukibeli takes laphana na laphana, uyothumela ama-CV, uyokokota, uyosebenza kanzima. Create content online and liberate yourself. Monetize these platforms, not only YouTube. TikTok algorithms favor great content. Doesn't have to be celebrities. People are changing their lives just using TikTok. People are changing their lives using Facebook. BI Pagat is changing a lot of lives using Facebook. And I'd like to believe, because he's got a lot of support on Facebook, that he's monetized his Facebook. And I think a lot of the work that he does incredibly, at least he's able to be empowered through the monetization of his channels to do the good that he's doing.
Yeah.
It's smart because he's doing the good, but then and I don't know if he's monetized his
He's
platform.
monetized. His page actually is one of the few pages on Facebook where you can actually click, send money, he gets paid, etc.
Incredible work. So what is he doing? He's doing social responsibility work in a smart way. He's not a Sibusiso Education Foundation where we've had to go to 1,000 schools for all these years working as hard as we did then. He's doing even more impactful work right now, smarter. And I guess that's where the mindset shift needs to happen amongst our young people. Yes, there's some who've already started taking advantage of this MDM sketches YouTube platform. Incredible work that they're doing online. Goes Hlubi. Some people will say, yeah, that young man does a lot of pranks though, but it doesn't matter. He's seen the opportunity that YouTube has. Lasizwe. I've named you some that are killing this game of YouTube. But equally so, let us not neglect the hunger to want to create our own platforms on the side.
I need to mention this Zimbabwean man's name because I know a lot of people have been wanting me to do a profile on him. Maxwell Chikumbutso. He's built a TV set that works without electricity. He's also made a hybrid engine-powered helicopter, an electric car, magnetic converter, a green power generator, and a drone, amongst other things. I'd like us to bookmark the part about the individual brand, the Logan Paul and the KSI versus a DJ Spoo in this space with beverages. When you look at Prime, which was launched last year, it was a sponsor for Timmy Hill's number 13 car for the NASCAR circuit. In July 2022, Premier League Arsenal announced a joint marketing agreement with the company, with Prime becoming the official sports drink supplier for the club. In their official statement, they said it meant they have access to talent and footballers, which they do leverage in some of their marketing. In January 2023, this year, the Ultimate Fighting Championship, which is the UFC, announced a joint marketing agreement with the company, with Prime becoming the official sports drink supplier for the mixed martial arts promotion company. In February 2023, Prime was promoted in a Super Bowl commercial. In April 2023, the Los Angeles Dodgers announced a joint marketing agreement with the company, with Prime becoming the official sports drink supplier for the baseball team. So now this is no longer individuals, because we'll take it all the way back to Red Bull and Monster, who have linked themselves to extreme sports in a huge way. They spend a lot of money pumped into all types of extreme sports. MOFAYA currently, you've said you've struggled with marketing and those things. Outside of yourself as the face, the idea of maybe linking to sports teams, maybe music festivals and those type of things, would you guys consider that? Are you looking to go into that? Do you think that would also maybe help the brand? And then I'd like to hear your thoughts on some of the other brands we have locally who don't even have a face or a name. Switch, Score, etc. That people are, is that now a matter of the people behind them are the old school entrepreneurs who have access to retail, and that's why they don't need the ambassadors. They don't need to sponsor whoever. And your thoughts around that, especially maybe touching on Kingsley Beverages and Dragon, who were a game changer locally.
MOFAYA from the beginning has always been a solution for us to channel some of the profits back to social responsibility initiatives. The vision is, of course, to participate in the office when we speak in our meetings. We've pinpointed soccer, football, because it's big in South Africa.
By far, very huge.
And we have been participating in little soccer tournaments, soccer opportunities here and there in the townships. So soccer, number one. Definitely music, because that's how the brand was launched. Being a musician myself and at music shows. But also because you're in a space where other brands or your competitors are spending top dollar to pay for all these big music festivals, and you don't have that top dollar. So sometimes you don't have the luxury of sponsoring big soccer teams, but you can either do bartering deals, trade exchange deals, etc. We will be doing those, and as we keep growing, and at some point it is in our plans to go above the line marketing, billboards, television, radio, endorsements. Right now we've just been doing deals, deals that we can do. Robot Boy, one of the young people that since then, before he even got into what he's doing now, has always been, a big part of MOFAYA. I've been working with Robot Boy since he was a youngster, and just to have seen his rise and what he's doing now has been so humbling to me. And it humbles me even more that at his peak, the peak of his career, and where he's been telling me that he's going to go and take his career to, he's taken MOFAYA with him. He's a younger version. I wouldn't even say a younger version of Sbu now. He is me then, but now for this new generation, for the youth. And for him to have mentally said, since then, what he was telling me, Nangene came in. He used to, when I was selling MOFAYA, be the cameraman. All those videos you see of me selling MOFAYA in the streets, it's him. It's him who's holding the camera. It's him who's serving me. At Massive Metro, those cameras or the content we're doing in the studio, the person behind the camera was him. But he used to tell me what his goal was to get into the music business and become a recording artist in his own right and become his own man, stand in his own too. But he's always said, Uti, this is where we are. And laping yako nanghamba nale.
Sure.
And he's done exactly that. And I've been doing some incredible work with him. And I get approached. I mean, I speak to a lot of young people. Mfana Kakoko, incredible, I'm a piano artist. Reaches out, DM, Grootman, I'm here. Let's work. Sometimes you find that certain people will expect money, but other people would just offer themselves and they want to do the work. Other people, maybe they want to do the work, but at least give me something, because these guys are also calling me this side and they're competitors and they're offering me a check, but I'm opting you.
Sure.
But maybe at a particular time, I'm not ready to offer you a check, but maybe I can offer you something in terms of stock, in terms of merchandise, in terms of not money, but maybe, we can exchange in terms of I can afford this for now. But yes, it is in the plans. It is in the, as we would say, the pipeline. Us participating more, bigger, fully and better in soccer and in music. In soccer, we've also done deals in the past, unfortunately, that might have not become successful. But I remember at some point we were doing a deal with the Celtics. We were very excited about the Celtics deal.
Bloemfontein.
Yeah. We were actually designing a MOFAYA Celtics can, and that deal ended up not going to the public. It ended up not going well. And there was another team that we were speaking to. But at the time, you need to remember, as you're negotiating these deals, it's difficult to be saying to them, we can't talk money for now, when people in their mind, they're seeing trucks on the road.
Sure.
They're just seeing this business that just keeps growing. It's like, can't you even afford this much? It's like, not yet, but it's in the pipeline. But for now, can we start a relationship here? So you find that a lot of people, when they find out there's no money on the table, they always sort of either, back off on the deals. But yeah, it's in the pipelines. We are going there. And as I was saying from the beginning, it's always been within our business plan to have all these stages of us as we start growing. But there's going to be a time where you're like, yeah, MOFAYA is now everywhere in terms of penetration, because for us, the focus in the office with the small team that we have has always been to penetrate and open up as many clients as possible. So that at least even when we're doing all of this marketing, whenever we get to that part or we can afford, at least even the penetration on the ground, people actually can walk in and get it.
Sure.
We're not promoting Aiko. Yes, we see it, we want it, but we can't find it.
Yeah.
So the journey also, the reason why it has also taken longer is it could have been quicker by doing certain deals with buyers who are already buying in groups. And they can give you access to their thousands of clients. But we had a conscious decision in the office to say, let's rather go open those thousands of clients ourselves. So we have individual relationships ourselves with all those clients one by one. That's what we've been doing. And we've come across a lot of opportunities where we could have done 5 deals, and those 5 deals probably could have gotten us everywhere.
Yeah.
But we're like, let's rather take it the longer route, the more difficult way. Let's go open these clients ourselves. Let's have a direct relationship with these clients, basically cutting out the middleman, and also just having a direct relationships with our clients. And that's what we had opted to do. It's taken us longer, but it's better. Because if anything happens, a client picks up the phone, they call the COO directly, they call CPO directly, they call me directly. Oh, I'm in a podcast shoot, but oh, cool. Let me just make sure that I find CPO. I'll just link you up. What's the problem? no, listen, man, blah, 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 blah. You know, we can call them also directly because
Yeah.
we've got a direct relationship. You're not dealing, it's not only a matter of the middleman cutting them off because of profit margins, but also just to have that relationship with all of your clients. So you're opening accounts for all of your clients. And yes, it's not fully practical to have direct relations with everyone, but we had opted to rather do that so that our business is a little bit more profitable than just doing 5 deals. This brand is everywhere, but our profit margins are so minute and small. We're not making...
And you're always relying on the middleman.
Exactly. And you're not making good money. And they can easily unplug you.
Yes.
Because at some point, you can work with the middleman, work with the middleman, but at some point, they can just decide to unplug you.
Sure.
And that relationship could stop. And then now you're going to have to go do it again in the future, rather now than later.
Yeah.
Rather go the hard route, the difficult route, but knowing what the clients are ours directly.
Your thoughts around other local, I think, Refresh, very great story from Queenstown. I don't know if it's the Clark family. They in farming, but they also did the Tweezer. I think they've released their own, of course, Score, Switch, Dragon, under Kingsley Beverages was a very big story. Ngicabanga nje no Raga Raga with abo Casper Nyovest, nabo Nadia Nakai, and may rest in peace Ricky Rick, the Major League Boys, Gemini Major. Dragon came through as a game changer, being sold not in stores, being sold at taxi ranks to taxi drivers, etc. They don't have the big ambassadors, as far as we know, and they don't have all these big links to teams and events. How do you feel in that space with you being the face of MOFAYA? Because every time we see MOFAYA, we think of TJ Sbu. Every time we see TJ Sbu, we think of MOFAYA. With all these other brands, they don't have that. And some of them seem to have better distribution links than MOFAYA. Your thoughts around that?
Congratulations to Dragon, man. What an inspirational story. Amazing work that those guys have done in penetrating the market, the space, the market, and in just taking themselves international and in them starting their own canning plants. It's an incredible story of Portuguese Joburg business people. I even call them hustlers because they started like us, like hustlers. You know, it was those fish and chips cafe. Funama chips and mama. You know those cafes. Their stories like that. That's where they come from. Back in Joburg, back in the day.
Yeah.
And they started Kingsley. And you need to remember, Dragon is not a brand that was created in South Africa. It's an American brand.
Okay.
But Kingsley owns a license. I don't know if they still do now, but then, you know, they brought and did a deal with the American company to bring Dragon into the country. I could be wrong right now. I don't know. But what I know is just the evolution of Dragon and just how they entered into the market space that was dominated by Red Bull. And they just went, and they're actually one of the people that grew the category and made it easier for people like Abo MOFAYA, people like Abo Switch, as we were mentioning, Abo Reboost, Refresh, Score, and all these. There's another one from Cape Town called, I think, 7 Stars. And there's just been a lot of energy drinks, and it's been incredible to just watch the Dragon story of they popularized the big can.
100%. At a crazy price. Because Red Bull was expensive.
Yeah, because Red Bull was expensive.
Yeah.
And Red Bull has just sold us this aspiration. And everybody aspires to this level of, and everybody aspires to have this energy drink in their hand. But then Dragon comes to the hood and says, I'll give you more. I'll give you more even for cheaper.
Boom.
And people who work in taxi, carrying workers, the masses, taxi rank, they pick up a can of Dragon. And just how they infiltrated all the different townships by forming their own warehouses nearer to the townships. A street seller is not loyal to MOFAYA because it's black owned, even though they're black. A street seller just wants to make money for the day, and he can see what he makes more money off selling Dragon than this new drink. Yes, you're saying it's black owned. Okay, cool. But this one is moving quicker.
Yeah.
This one is new. Like, what is this? MOFAYA, okay, it's black owned. Okay, that's the journey that we've had to go through in the beginning. It's been tough to sell it because people didn't even know what is this. And you also now have to convince the clients of the wholesalers, the cash and carries, all these guys. You are now saying, sell this. But my friend, I'm making more money with this. Like, why must I sell this? Give me a better deal here. Give me better rebates. Give me discounts. Give me, if I take this much, how many more trucks are you giving me? Are you giving me extra pallets? This is how much I'm getting here. Some of them, obviously, they don't disclose, the confidential information, the deals that they do behind the scenes. But they're making money off selling this. Now, you're saying they must sell this. It's like, I could be black, but you are making more money here. I have to make more money here. So those are some of the things that we've had to go through. But for me, I just had to give Dragon its flowers on camera.
Yeah.
And just say, no, guys, that, we've been walking on your footsteps. It's like when you come to me and say, I've been watching your career all these years, and now today we work together.
Yeah.
For me today, for us to, as MOFAYA, to be mentioned amongst Prime, Dragon, and all these drinks, it makes me happy. That's why when this episode started, I was like, wow, I'm proud of us. From when we started and how difficult it was to now, when people mention energy drinks, black people think of MOFAYA. It's beautiful. It's incredible work that we've done, considering that we didn't have big budgets. We didn't have billboards, TV adverts. We've never been on TV. We've done just one campaign that only lasted for about 2 weeks or 3 weeks or a month or so, which was great. It was like, as an advert, the Angel advert, MOFAYA. That was nice. We tested, and we would love to be on TV more. TV rates are very expensive. But Switch also, I think Switch just came in more or less the same time as MOFAYA. And they just dominated the game, man. Those guys inspire me when you're talking Switch. Reboost dominates the KZN market. Just how they've dominated as well, and me understanding the relationships that we have with all the big players in terms of distribution in the KZN space. They'll tell you, do you know how many trucks of this thing I'm moving a month? You're talking to one client. They're like, I'm moving 100 trucks of this a month.
Yes, yes.
One truck is what we call in our language, in our space, a link. A link would either be like 32 pallets or 34 pallet. One pallet is 80 trays, as other people would call it, or 80 cases, as how other people would call it. One case is 24 of these. I repeat, 24 of these make up one case or one tray. 80 trays or 80 cases make up one pallet. 32 pallets or 34 pallets make up a link. And that's what you would call a truck. So when a client says to you, I'm moving 100 trucks of Reboost a month, bro. You're like,
So one of these links, if you do the maths, is 61,440 cans. One.
I know there's 2,940 cans in one pallet. So times that by 80, that's one truck.
How many? 2,000?
It did 24 times 80.
Sure.
What are you getting?
That's 1,920.
1,000?
920.
Oh, sorry, yeah, it's 1,920. Sorry, that's the exact figure.
Sure.
Those are the number of cans that are in one pallet.
Sure.
Times that by 32.
That's the 61,440.
Oh yeah, 61,440, and then times that by 100.
Sure. 614,000.
So when a client tells you, bro, I'm moving 100 trucks of Reboost a month. This is just in case they run alone. This is just one client telling you that. And you are saying, I must take on this. It's like, I need to start introducing this to my client. Now you are talking to people who are speaking a language of, I've got gondola sections that I'm selling. I'll give you a space. Okay, for you to be on one of these just for 1 month, I'll charge you, okay, let's say 5,000. I'll charge you 4,000. Or maybe I'll just do you a favor, maybe because it's MOFAYA. Let's charge you 3,500 rands for one of these by next to the tills where people pay so that it's visible to the consumers and the clients. And then we'll give you also another spreadsheet. We advertise on the Citizen every Thursday. You want this as well, comes with this and that. And then we would do buttering deals, Tina, again, because maybe that's a bit expensive for us. We can't afford that, but let's do a deal. Take these number of cases or these number of pallets, or take one truck, and then maybe we'll give you an extra pallet. So you put us on your gondola ends, you put us on your advertising material, you'll put us on the Citizen, and from time to time we'll come do activations, which has always been our marketing approach, and that works for us. We sell a lot by doing tastings at the different cash and carries. And a lot of people I know, even when they would go back to my social media, they'd see me at cash and carries making noise. We are now available at Kit Kat Cash and Carry, Devlin Cash and Carry. And I want to give Devlin their flowers, because Devlin said to us, it was difficult to get in anywhere. Devlin were our first client, major client, that pretty much opened for us and said, you know what, if this thing of yours does not sell in a month, you're going to have to come pick it up. Who are you? And, Bongani, how did I forget Bongani in one of our shareholders, one of the hardest working MOFAYA partners. Bongani, who is a younger brother to Sipiwe, Likhuleni Shongo. Bongani is a hustler as well. And Bongani would go to Devlin, go in Klaptown, next to Soweto, where they grew up. Bring DJ Sbu here. Bring DJ Sbu here if you want this thing. We just want to talk to you guys. Who owns this thing? Eventually, one day I walk in there, we have a conversation, and Masood, thank you so much, Masood. Devlin has been a game changer for us, changed our lives forever. Opened an opportunity for us and said, okay, cool. Hey, man, I can't buy this thing, man, but I'll put you on consignment. Because I hear when you're walking in here, my staff is excited, and they said I must bring you here. You're DJ Sbu. And I just love the culture of how they do business first, man. It's more about how are you? How's your health? How's your family? Wait a minute with this. Let's talk about you. Are you okay? Why do you think you can get into this category? What inspired you to get into this? Do you know how difficult this category is, my brother? But anyway, to cut the long story short, because we're on a podcast, that's why I say we need 5 hours. It's fine. Bring this pallet. If it doesn't sell, you must come pick it up in a month. Sbu goes downstairs, gives Bongani the phone. MOFAYA now available at Devlin Cash and Carry. It's on Alan Buffet. Puts it up on his Facebook. How? Get a call 2 days later. Oh, this pallet looks like it's finished. What did you do? It's like, who are you guys? Okay, let's do this. Let's try this. Give us 5 pallets by next week, Monday. Bring us 5 pallets and let's try it out. Let's see what we do. I still can't pay you for that first pallet. Let's see how the 5 pallets go. Cool. Deliver the 5 pallets. DJ Sbu does the same thing in his MOFAYA jumpsuit. MOFAYA now available at Devlin Cash and Carry. Zogalani bafethu Mpumalanga wozani. Limpopo etlamba bafethu Northwest settle demo Devlin. Boom, 1 week. Wow. This thing of yours looks like it's selling. Okay, I think it looks like we're going to have an official meeting with your partners now. You're going to have to bring your business partners. Let's do a proper meeting. Because it looks like we're going to list your product, and we will also be paying you for the 5 pallets that sold, and let's do a deal. But we will not only do a deal, because we're interested in taking 1 truck now. You guys, let's talk good prices, let's talk rebates, let's talk discounts, let's talk marketing material, gondola ends, let's talk merchandising, let's talk that language. And if you perform, we'll see. Sky's the limit. But I think I like you guys. I think it looks like there might be something here. Actually, I'm going to introduce you to other families, people we've got relations with, to open doors for you. And that's why I have to speak about it on camera, to give Devlin Cash and Carry their flowers, because they opened doors for us. They introduced us to Ohlanga. Ohlanga is in Springs. Ohlanga is in Witbank. Ohlanga is in... And there's many other clients, and I don't want my clients feeling bad. They're watching this episode like, come on, Sbu, why don't you mention my name? I can just imagine Mohammed there in KZN, in Durban, trade port distribution. My man, you even did a podcast about MOFAYA. You mentioned Devlin. You don't mention me, your best friend. I got you to KZN, bruh. And all of those brothers having had to create one-on-one relationships and opening accounts directly with them and sitting in meetings with them has been incredible, because I've learned so much. That's why I was saying to you earlier, I would not trade that decision that I made to go learn that side of the business for anything, because it introduced me to those people. It introduced me to a different culture of business, as opposed to me thinking it's always in boardrooms, in suits and ties, and in English, and in all these 7th floor. You sign in at the reception. You walk in there. You get offered water. You're in the boardroom. Morning. How are you doing? Now you're in a space where people are just wearing their own traditional. Konje, what do they call the?
I don't know what it's called, and it's so embarrassing because my grandfather was a Muslim.
And they're like me. You see, now I've left my beard, and I'm sure a lot of my clients are excited. Good, yeah, now welcome to business. You even letting your beard grow. When you started this MOFAYA thing, you didn't have beard. You're even going gray. Welcome to real business. This is what business will do to you. You'll go gray.
Is this the right way in a pisht? What is a male Muslim outfit called a pisht? It's a cloak in the style of a dress, and it is typically worn over is it a thobe? And preferably worn by religious leaders or on special occasions by the men. There's also abaya. There's the jilbab, dupata. Okay. Anyways, the people are gonna correct us. But watching people wearing their traditional attire,
Traditional
sitting
attire.
with you, eating with you,
Offer you
having
food.
conversation,
Eat.
wanting to know about your family in earnest,
Eat.
and wanting to hear your story, because the one thing that happens when you meet real entrepreneurs, not gimmicks, is they know the struggles. And when I think of all the entrepreneurs I've met, I've mentioned them on other platforms, they're very big on finding out who are you, where you're from, where did you study, what does your family do, why are you doing this thing? They want to know your why. They're like, you're a bit crazy. And you must be like, yes. And they smile. Oh, that's good. So you're crazy. It's like, no, you remind me of myself. Something that they wish they could see in their own children and other people close to them. They're like, this guy's got that same burning fire, that same hunger, and they see it inside themselves. I think we're going to have to shut this shut it down, this sit down. There's a couple of other things I want to discuss. And look, the last question I had for you, I do not want you to answer. I don't want you to answer it because I know it's going to take us into another hour. One of the comments that came out about Prime was there was a criticism by some American ladies about how it's pushing misogyny because it's mostly for young men in an age and an era of Jordan Peterson, Andrew Tate, Kevin Samuels, Joe Rogan, and apparently Logan Paul and KSI, because they're big on boxing and wrestling, they would the UFC, mixed martial arts, they would, all these brands. And apparently a lot of young boys are very big on Prime is going to make me feel like a man. Now, if Prime is selling masculinity, which has been lacking, and it's one of the things black men, especially in this country, are complaining about, that's what they're selling. And guys are like, I will buy this thing because it's pro-men. It's pro being a real man, whatever that means. And on the other hand, you've got MOFAYA pushing pro-black. One of the questions, and again, I don't want you to answer, the selling points of pro-black and how many non-black people it alienates. If this country, you're speaking about street hustlers who care about making money more than a black-owned product. I want to support you, Sbuda. Yo, ngcwele ngawe Sbuda, but na I product emuvayo. But I need to eat. Selling pro-black as a selling point, whether it actually works or not, and going into the racial aspects of business, and especially retail, which is very difficult. We haven't touched on the kings of retail like Abo Christo Visa, the guys behind Spar, Woolworths, Box. Are you mentioning cash and carries, of which a lot of the black and, let's say, Arab, Indian, Chinese, they're still on the come up in this country. They're not as big as the white colonizers, etc. So they can also tell you they're still hustling. The battle in retail. And now you want to push a pro-black product and a brand that even black people have issues with because maybe they don't believe in themselves. Maybe they don't care that it's pro-black. Maybe they prefer a brand that is popular that they know, and how that becomes one of the hindrances in MOFAYA becoming bigger. Because maybe a white child wants to buy MOFAYA, they're like, but it's for black people, I won't buy it. Should you be selling? I mean, what happens if a pink pro-LGBTQI brand comes out, which is very pro the rainbow community, and they're like, oh, this speaks to us, we'll support it. Like, because your brand has a culture and an identity and And then the role of government and how they have failed black entrepreneurs today. Abo Baba Herman Mashaba that we've sat with speak about the apartheid era, but our black South African government has failed real. We're not going to speak about BEE beneficiaries and people with contracts from the private sector or the public sector. We speak about real entrepreneurs that manufacture products, that build brands from scratch. They have failed them. You should not be struggling with funding. You should not be struggling with marketing. You should not be struggling with access to anything because you are pushing what they're meant to be standing for black entrepreneurs. But our government goes further because it fails local entrepreneurs, where we're getting international brands coming in comfortably. Yes, they have the money. Yes, they have the reach. Yes. But big as YouTube is, big as YouTube is, Google is, as big as Facebook. These are huge companies. China will say no. They will say China first. We've got our own Google, our own YouTube, our own this and that. We've got our own phones. We will not import because we know the importance. We're protesting because we're in war. And people that think that business is a game, we're happy to compete. No real business person, when you speak to them privately, will ever tell you they're happy with competition. We spoke about it's a monopoly now. When you've got two brands that own 81% of the global market, 43%, 39%, we're not even having a conversation at all. So I want to hear your thoughts on MOFAYA being a pro-black brand and how that might be a problem. I'd like to hear your thoughts around opening up to other races, maybe other nationalities, even though you're going global. I'd like to hear your thoughts around government and its failures, which is a very sensitive one, not just for MOFAYA. Now this opens it up to all entrepreneurs, including black, white, Indian, colored entrepreneurs in this country. And last but not least, are you willing to sell out? Are you willing to give a 10%, 20%, 50% stake to a local white business person, to an international brand company, sell to Coca-Cola, sell to Red Bull? Would you be willing to partner with Dragon and be like, look, let's collaborate. We want MOFAYA to be under Kingsley Beverages. Would you be willing to sell out? And if the answer is yes, it's straightforward. It's like, look, we've built it. Someone's going to take it to the next level. Sure, we'll make money. And if the answer is no, you need to explain to us why. Why you want to carry on struggling and going through pain and frustrated. What is the purpose of that? I don't know if you have any closing words before we close.
Let your mind breed a new fire for passion and rise beyond the ashes of your limitations. Ignite your mind with countless possibilities. What's it, George Koch? One that we are on is a generational mission. One that we are on is a journey that when you get to a certain point, you pass on the baton. It's a relay. Our Steve Biko wrote books, gave us their ideologies. May his soul rest in peace. Our Dr. Richard Maponya ran their race to their age. I think he was 96, 98, 93 years old.
He was very old. He was over his 90s.
Almost 100 years old. Siyabonga baba. Siyabonga mkhulu wethu. He's not even my father. He's actually my great-grandfather. Siyabonga mkhulu. Siyabonga khokho. Siyabonga kakhulu khokho. We grabbed the baton and we are running with it, Tina. There's great other South African businessmen out there that we've been looking up to. He didn't give the baton to us. Tina siyizukulu zeyizukulu zakhe. He gave the baton to the Sandile Zungus. He gave the baton to the Mike Dekes. He gave the baton to the Robert Gumedes. He gave the baton to the Tim Tebeilas. He gave the baton to the Dr. Daphne Mashile Nkosis. He gave the baton to the Patrice Mutsepes. We took the baton and may God bless us that they're still alive. While they're still alive, we're watching their journeys. Some of them, yes, they're into contracts. Some of them, they deal with government. But these are real South African business people. These are South African business people that you don't see them do this, podcasting and tweeting and whatever. They're in offices. They're cracking deals. Whatever you might have in your mind about how they've built their businesses, but these are business people that us as entrepreneurs who are on the ground, siyintwana zabo. And Jalo, when we bump into them in these conferences, when they bless us with their visits on our radio shows, when we read about them or we meet in conferences and seminars or we invite them to come and bless us and speak to our audiences of young people, they say, "Nenzo msebenzi omuhle, qhubekani. You don't have to pay me to be at your conference, at your seminar. It's okay, I'll come. I'll come share my piece about my experiences in business and what I've had to go through." It's them that, Tina, we are taking the baton from, and we are running with it. As we keep running, sonke nabo Theo, nabo Likau, nabo Latuma, nabo Thibo Touch, nabo, you mentioned them. And I don't want to, all of you, my beautiful sisters out there, and say, "Hi man, Sibusiso, how?" Ankichimini amadoda kuphela. Imagine all these incredible black women that fight so hard. For them, it's even difficult to even just get a meeting or even do a meeting at 8 o'clock in Ntambama because somebody expects something in return. And other men, they disrespect them so much so that they don't even look at them as businesswomen. They see some opportunities in return to either sleep with them or for whatever agendas that they might have. And those are just one of many problems they have to deal with. These are our sisters. Abo sis bethu, o tate bethu. Oh, mama bethu, who've been running this business journey for all these years. We are running Getina. Sinikeza intwana zethu. Intwana zethu manje zisibhekile ziku social media le ntwana. Zisibhekile. Sishama video ku TikTok no ezinye seziyaqala. Ezinye brasbu ngicela ugcoke le brand yami abuti khani ngiqala. Theo used to come to Massive Metro and say ama celebrity abafuna ukuligqoka ibhathu. Ngiyacela Grootman. Ngiphusha ibhathu. Ngangiphusha iperfume mara mase ngiphusha le teki lami leli. Le teki leli lizoyenza amasimba la eMzansi. This is going to become one of the biggest brands in Africa. Ngiyacela Grootman ngicela ungishayele le teki. Ngizwakala Theo. Zwakala Theo. Gqoke sishaya lapha sishaya ama video, the only sneaker that breathes. Ngiyakhumbula the first one kade bayibiza ukuthi mesh. Teki eliphefumulayo. Look at Batu today, and this is only still the beginning. We're not successful. No matter how much you can think we are successful, we are not. This is only the beginning. None of us is a success if none of us are. If not all of us are. Siyagijima nayo intwana zethu manje mhlambe zinabo ma 10, intwana zethu zinabo ma 4, or ezinye sizinabo ma 18, 21 zisibhekile ku social media na seziqalile ziyagijima. Sometimes ibhizinisi na uqala ucava ukuthi uchunani. Mina noSiphiwe besingayazi into esiyenzayo. And I love the fact that he's been quiet all these years, Usphiwe. He's going to speak his side of the story one day. And I like it because it's going to come from an intellectual. It's going to come from the person who's been running the engine behind the scenes. Somebody who's been away from cameras. Even at my meeting, when people ask for a picture, Nami Bambiza, and I go, yeah, he's always like, "No, me I'm right. I know. He's the celebrity, me I'm not." He just goes there. Usphiwe does not want to appear on cameras. Very humble brother. He'll tell his story one day. This is a generational mission, Penuel. You don't sell out on a generational mission. You understand that there were some before you, there were some before them, and this is a bigger struggle than you may ever think. Abantu abamnyama, they're in all over the world, and what has been done to us is bigger than you and I can ever comprehend, Penuel. Into yedlozi le. We are dealing with a DNA of millions of people. Yingakhona sikubingelela sithi sanibonani. Akusuwe kuphela engihleli naye la. Ngikhuluma nabakini. This is a generational mission, Penuel. This is not a fight to get yourself a Range Rover, a beautiful house, take girls to Dubai and enjoy life. This is a generational mission and it does not stop. Lapho esiqhubeka khona uNkulunkulu asibusise, will live up until whatever years. We'll say siyabonga. We played our part. We're vessels. We're vessels of waking up the black child. Siqala abanye baqhubeke nayo. Qhubekani nayo intwana zethu. Njengoba amaGrootman manje lapha abakhona ngisho ama aeroplane kuma private jet abanye emadladleni wabo basibukela emafonini wabo ukuthi intwana zethu ziyagijima estradini. SebaGroot abanye banabo ma 70, abanye banabo ma 60 something basibhekile. Bayazi into esiyenzayo. Bayazi how hard it was harder for them. As much as it's hard for us now, I can only imagine how hard it was for them. There was no social media, Penuel. Labantu had to hustle harder even. When you start a business, it's not just a business to enrich yourself. The journey that you're on is to enlighten the black child. Whether you like politics or you don't like politics, you'll have to understand politics ngenkani, as you've been mentioning. We're dealing with a capitalistic system. We're dealing with a black person that is oppressed globally, Penuel. The journey that we're on is not just to succeed and shine and say, "I've arrived," and post on Instagram. The journey that we're on, as I've said, is a generational mission. There is no selling out, Penuel. There is no selling out. There is no selling out. Bala idlozi lila idlozi yilo lonke lithi hey sinibhekile nina. Lento eniyenzayo le qhubekani nayo. Siyaqhubeka nayo Phenywe painful. It's a calling for some of us, it's a calling. For some of us this thing is a calling Phenywe. It's a calling Phenywe. Abanye bayilwa ku politics. Abanye bayilwa ngale thina siyilwa la Phenywe. It's not easy. But some of us have been chosen to play this role, Phenywe. Hoya rona bapelo tse thata ko pele. Makwala a cheche. We've chosen this struggle. We've chosen this life. And we'll go down 6 feet under in this struggle. And we might have moved it from here up to here. Others will take it from here to the next. But aluta, it does not stop. It continues. The struggle continues. Those are my last words. I love you guys. Let's keep hustling. I'm proud of you, my brother. A year ago, we started this thing just to see you grow and just see the person that you're becoming. I'm very, very proud of you. I've done this in the music industry. I've worked with a lot of people. And just to still be alive and be doing this and be playing my role that I'm meant to play, which is my calling. I was born for my purpose. I'm blessed to become a blessing. I'm giving you the baton. Hey. As much as I've seen to 19 Phenywe, 21. Now self-growth, every week over the past year consistently. This is a generational mission, Phenywe. Akudlalwa ngayo lento sikuye Phenywe, lento edlozile. Into kataki. Thina siyayifela boy. I love you, bro.
Thanks, Mo.